Meta has announced new programs that it says allows for AI-driven robots to learn directly from humans. Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley joins us with more now. Dan, we're all freaked out about this, man. I mean, they're going to replace all of us. What are the implications here before that happens?
Yeah, this is still just early research and way, way far away from any robots being able to replace us. But Dave, this is something that Meta's working on. While we're all discussing generative AI, there's still other research going on in the AI space, especially towards general purpose AI. These are two different projects that Meta is working on. One is called an artificial visual cortex. That's the part of the brain for humans that helps process images and allows us to kind of interact with things in our world. And then the other is adaptive skill coordination. And so these two features are basically meant to help robots understand the world around them and navigate to do individual tasks. Now, the artificial visual cortex, this is something that they basically programmed in a virtual world. So think a kind of metaverse-y robot. It learns by watching videos from a person's first-person perspective, and is then able to recognize, okay, there's a chair here, there's a table here. I have to avoid chairs. If something changes in the room, it'll be able to avoid chairs and go complete a task and then go back to where it started. And so that's the artificial visual cortex. The adaptive skill coordination, that was trained in a different way, but it allowed a real robot, a physical robot, one of Boston Dynamics' Spot robots, to navigate a room, recognizing things in the way, to go and pick up an object, a stuffed animal in this case, and then bring it back to another location. So it's seemingly simple tasks, but the experts that I spoke to at Meta who are working on this basically say, look, generative AI, being able to do things like play chess, Go, those are things that robots are able to do now, AI is able to do now. Those are relatively simple because they're set instructions. The world, though, is much more chaotic. And, the way they put it is, it takes so much to teach a robot to do something that a 3-year-old can do that it's incredible. And so they're moving at an incredibly small pace as well. But, the fact that they're able to do this with the kind of technology that we have right now is really impressive. And it just goes to show how Meta and other tech companies are working to get robots to be more human-like and be able to move around more freely. When you see usually the Spot robots, they're being controlled by a controller. These are just functioning on their own.
That's a little scary to think about. I got a lot of questions, hopefully, before we start seeing some of these anytime soon. Dan, let's also talk about Apple here, the other big tech giant, showing some signs maybe pushing into AR, the VR space. GQ just did a profile of CEO Tim Cook. What did we learn about Apple's maybe ambitions within this space?
Yeah, it seems as though, he didn't mention a headset at all. That's just not what he does. And, he didn't mention any competitors by name, but you can kind of get a sense, if you were Meta, that you would be terrified at this point, just because Tim Cook specifically mentions augmented reality and how it could be used for communication and collaboration. And that's kind of where Meta hopes to bring their metaverse idea. Right now, they're using the Quest 2 for VR, some basic AR components, but down the line, they want this to be something that you can put on a pair of glasses. And in one of the videos that Zuckerberg had shown when renaming the company to Meta, play virtual chess with someone sitting in front of you who isn't really there via AR, or fence with an AR version of a friend. And these are things that Apple seemingly is starting to talk about as well, at least as far as this conversation that Cook had in this GQ interview goes. So it looks like the two are on yet another collision course. And there's no love lost between the two companies. Meta desperately wants to take control of the AR VR space because, frankly, Apple has control of the smartphone space and can tell Meta what to do with its apps. And so if Meta can control the AR VR space, then it has its own life. If Apple goes in there, not so much.
All right, Hallie, great stuff. Thanks so much.